everyone. My name is Racquel Henry. I am the founder here at the Studio Writers Atelier, and welcome to Racquel Writes, which is a new show slash series on the Writers Atelier channel. This is going to be something that is really informal. I don't have any scripts. I'm not going to type anything out ahead of time. And you're probably wondering, okay, Racquel, well then what is it about? And to be honest, it's really just about my writing journey. I was finding that I wanted an outlet to talk about things that I'm going through on this really wild pathway to writing success. And, we have this channel where we've featured motivational minutes. We've had some author interviews. We've done some free workshops, and we've had certain videos with like some tips and things like that, of course. And, we're going to keep putting out content on here like that. But this video or this series is specifically going to be me just kind of talking through the pain of being a writer. And so I had a blog called Racquel Writes, and I had this blog before I started, Writers Atelier and also Black Fox Literary Magazine, which is my literary magazine that's been running for roughly about, I think we're coming up on 11 years this now. Well, actually, we just crossed 11 years. I just realized I didn't remember the anniversary. But anyhow, I had this blog, just where I would talk about my writing journey, and I would talk about, like books I'm reading, that kind of thing. And that it fell to the wayside when I started the other projects. And so I now have this as my outlet. I'll be coming on here and just talking to you all about how writing is going. And I feel like this might be particularly useful because I did set a goal a few years ago that I really wanted to be a hybrid author. And what I mean by hybrid, because hybrid can mean different things, right, to different people, and depending on like what part of the industry you're talking about, right? Because there's such a thing as hybrid publishing, which is in the publisher sense, right? What I mean by being a hybrid author is I wanted to be an author that had their foot in the traditional publishing world and had their foot in the indie publishing world. And initially, I really wanted to be just a traditionally published author. I did not think that I was going to independently publish and be an indie author. But my eyes were opened one day while at a writing conference. It was called Indie Book Fest, and it's now called Orlando Reads Books. And I spoke to another writer there who, there were like a couple things that made me want to do hybrid, but there was an author there by the name of Diane Capri who really kind of encouraged me to rethink, how I saw publishing. And that's honestly that was the kind of, because there were some other things, but she was the one that really kind of pushed me into indie publishing. And so I decided that I was going to be an independent author, but I was going to do specific things like just publish short fiction, so like novelette length, and just publish holiday romance. One of the other things you're going to learn that I'm obsessed with, if you don't already know me, is that I'm obsessed with Hallmark Christmas movies. I'm obsessed with Hallmark in general, but especially the Christmas movies. And so I would go wild. I'm like obsessed. When I say obsessed, I mean, I know those movies like the back of my hand. But I wanted to write stories just like that and make people feel the same way that I felt after I watched a Hallmark movie. So I embarked on that journey in the indie route and realized that I really loved it. I'm a control freak by nature. And I really like the control that you have with indie publishing. And so now, you know, as my career has evolved, I've realized that that is something I want to do. I want to continue to pursue it. I want to do it a little more seriously. And so I'll be writing other things now, still probably novella length, and I'll talk about that in a second. Still novella length, a little longer than novelette, but also not just holiday romance. I plan to write other things in the romance realm. The reason why I'm keeping it short, keeping it novella length, is because of the obligations and the commitments and contractual things that I have to deal with in traditional publishing. So I did end up landing an agent, and I landed that agent with my YA novel. And I cannot contractually, I can't write things, right, that would compete. So keeping things short makes it not compete, right, when you're dealing with contracts and stuff in the traditional realm. So that's why I write novellas, and will probably keep my indie stuff to novellas moving forward. So, and you know, like, just out of respect, right, I want to be respectful, because you know, my agent also works very hard to she works very hard to make sure that I have good opportunities, right? And also, like, it's, you know, it's her job, right? So she's got to make money as well. And so I just want to be respectful too in that regard. So anyhow, I thought that, you know, talking about having to balance both of these worlds, you know, traditional publishing with indie publishing, would be interesting to some people. I'm sure there are other people who have talked about this before, and who have maybe even had YouTube videos and all of that as well. But as we know, with everything, every writer has a different experience, right? So I would love to share mine, and if you all are up for it, I would love to have you along on the journey with me. And I didn't mention it before, but I am the author of 2 novelettes that are out right now. One is called Holiday on Park. It's actually right here on my bookshelf, right there. And then the other is called Letter to Santa. I also have a tiny little book called The Writer's Atelier Little Book of Writing Affirmations. So those are all 3, and I guess the affirmations book is technically under a press, because Writer's Atelier has a publishing branch, but I run it, so I kind of you know, that I would still also kind of count that as like in the indie realm, just because it's my own, right? It's underneath my brand and my press. So yeah, I'm really excited to kind of talk about this. And I think what I'll do is I'll also sprinkle in like little writing tips. So some of the videos will have specific topics. Obviously, this one doesn't, because it's just me sort of introducing you all to the show. But I think some of the videos will have specific topics. So for example, there are so many different aspects, right, of indie, so many things you have to checkbox when you are releasing a new story. And this time I'm doing a lot of things differently, like, because I feel like when I first started doing the novelette, it was like pure fun. It still is pure fun, but it wasn't like I wasn't like trying to necessarily like sell a ton of books. Like, I really wasn't. I was just like, this is my outlet. It's like I need like a little palate cleanser or something from all the dark YA fiction I'm writing. And it kind of turned into more. I ended up selling more copies than I thought. And then, you know, it evolved, right? It became something that I thought like, wow, I could seriously kind of do this. And so with this one, I am now going to have it be longer. It's written, I personally think it's written more to market, and I want to share all of that stuff with you all. And I'm going to be doing like a marketing plan for it, which I've never done before. There's also like other check boxes you have to check with indie, like cover design. You have to make sure your cover is ready. You have to have like, depending on where you want to publish it, you've got to have the full cover anyway, like with the wrap covers, right? With the back, spine, all that stuff, right? ISBN numbers. And so I think what I'll do is I'll be able to kind of put a topic to each one as I go through everything and chat about it with you all. Same thing with traditional publishing. And I will say, with traditional publishing, I can't tell you everything because certain things you have to keep quiet about. Even if you sign contracts, you have to be really quiet about it until, you get the green light to announce. So I can't say everything, but I'll say as much as I can. And sometimes I might have to be a little vague. So just bear with me. I'm sorry, that's how traditional publishing is. Yeah, I'm very excited about all of this, and I hope you are too. I am right now trying to decide if I want to attend a writing conference this week. It's not too far from my house, but just to give you all a little bit like more background about me, I was diagnosed with breast cancer last fall. And so it slowed me down a little bit, but, that makes me it puts me into the immunocompromised category. And with the pandemic not officially being over, there's a risk, right? There comes some risk with me attending, obviously, large events indoors. So I'm still kind of debating, but, I'll let you all know. If I do, I'll report back because I think it would be fun to tell you all what I learned. It's that same one that I mentioned earlier, Indie Book Fest, which is now Orlando Reads Books. Sometimes I can't help call it that. But it's such a great conference, and I highly recommend it to anybody, even if you are not independently published. You just learn so much, and you meet so many great people, and the books that the authors are producing, they're fantastic. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about, some of my personal struggles. As far as writing, as I mentioned earlier, I got an undergrad degree in creative writing. I also have an MFA from Fairleigh Dickinson University. And after I got my MFA, I started Writers Atelier, which is a writing studio in Central Florida. We're online and we have a physical location, although we haven't been open since the pandemic started. I also was a part-time professor briefly. Well, I guess it's technically not briefly because it was for 6 years. I taught 1101, 1102 and creative writing. So I love being around writing, and I love just immersing myself in the writing world. So those are just some of the things I've done. I've done I've done a lot of stuff, and I feel lucky to have been able to do so. And I feel like it's also selfish to hoard that information. So all of the things that I've done and all of the things that I'm learning, I'm going to try to share it on this new series, Racquel Writes. All right, I think that's all I have to say for today. Thank you if you made it this far. And I really appreciate you watching. If you have anything you want to say, any comments, feel free to put them in the comments section and we will try to answer. I say we because Megan Fuentes is part of our team here at Writers Atelier. She's our admin, but she's also a fantastic writer as well. And she helps with the channel. So one of us will answer if you want to leave a comment, or if you have a question about anything. I'm happy to answer writing and publishing questions. I At Writers Atelier, I edit manuscripts and I coach writers. So if you have anything you want to ask, feel free to do so. Feel free to reach out. And I hope you come back. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Racquel Writes.